Hi, my name is Bailey Drexler, a student at Xavier University and an intern at the Center for the Study of the American Dream. Today I'm here with the president of the Cincinnati Port Authority, Ms. Laura Brunner, and we are going to talk about her idea of the American Dream and the role she plays in making the American Dream a reality.
My name is Laura Brunner, and I'm the President and CEO of the Port of Greater Cincinnati Development Authority. I've been here since the beginning of 2012. I was asked to apply for the job just about exactly a year ago, and I have a background that's quite varied between real estate development, real estate brokerage, accounting, and consulting. So broad background and a deep interest in giving back to the community.
What do you consider to be the American Dream?
Well, I'm going to focus on one aspect of the American Dream, which I think can make such a profound difference in our country over the next 20 or 30 years, and that is economic inclusion, which I really focus on the wealth gap. There are a lot of people focused on inclusion, racial inclusion for jobs and employment and small business opportunities, and I'm particularly interested in making sure that the wealth of our country is more broadly inclusive.
How did you come to develop that sense of the American Dream?
It started when I was in a program called Leadership Cincinnati over 20 years ago, and that was my first exposure to peers that were in similar professional situations as I was at the time, but getting to know them on a personal level, understanding that they had barriers that I had never faced. And then, so I was focused on inclusion in a more broad sense for probably 15 years after that. And after I got into the real estate world about 7 years ago, I started to focus on how much of America's wealth is in real estate. Commercial real estate has really led to the phenomenal success of our country's most affluent. And that, as I have really learned, is very, very exclusive. And so I started to say that there's a nice overlap there with my professional life and my focus on inclusion, that I could help work toward diversifying that wealth gap.
Can you describe how the Port Authority plays a role in addressing that issue?
The general goals of the Port Authority are to create jobs, to attract residents to our city, and to increase property values. So those all do tie in with this particular focus. Obviously, we're working for all of our citizens, wealth increase, but I hope that one of the measures of our success is that it's spread more broadly. Well, let me step back and give you an example of something I have done to focus on that, and that is in my previous position in real estate development, where we identified a property, it's the Brunner Hotel, that was vacant, and we were hoping to redevelop that into an office building, which would be a significant asset for the community that it's sitting in, an opportunity for a lot of jobs to be there, and frankly, an opportunity to create wealth. We started on two paths. One of them was talking to Children's Hospital about the possibility of them leasing the building, and then we very proactively reached out to a group of African Americans to ask them to invest in the project. So ultimately that building ended up owned by 51% by a group of African Americans, and we ended up with a 17-year lease with Children's Hospital. So it is a project where a significant amount of wealth is being created, and the majority of that is in African American ownership. As I moved into the Port Authority, we have the opportunity to do similar things here as well. The main role of the Port Authority is to catalyze investment in areas of the city and throughout the county where there has been disinvestment for a long time. So, for example, we're working in Bond Hill. We're going to acquire the former Swifton Commons shopping center, now called Jordan Crossing. And the Port Authority will be developing the land and demolishing the former shopping center, remediating the site, doing some infrastructure, and then we'll have parcels ready for sale to developers to build new private apartments and retail and hopefully office building. So in doing that, what we plan to do is the same thing, is to invite a group of investors that typically wouldn't be invited to the table for such a large-scale investment opportunity to partner with us and really become a part of building wealth on that site that the Port Authority is making more attractive.
What advice do you have for other young American dreamers who want to make a difference in this aspect of the American dream?
I think that I think our life's challenge is to combine the different parts of your life together, to take that personal passion and combine it with your career, and ultimately to combine it with your family and your friends and your community involvement, so that all those pieces are fitting together, and that's where you have a chance to make the biggest difference. So I would encourage people to not give up and to stand for something. Pick something that you really want to improve, get involved in the volunteer side, and then find ways to intersect that with your professional career too.
My last question for you is, how will you determine when you personally or economic development in Cincinnati has really accomplished the American dream?
The other things that's been interesting for me to observe is watching my children and their group of friends being your generation, and having their experience, their racial experience be so much different than mine was as I grew up. And what I hope is that they never have, that their friends, as they move into their professional careers, don't have any of the barriers that my peers had as they started their careers. And I think that's going to be a real sign of success, is that in your generation it doesn't make a difference at all.